to go for here.
We are into ban phase 1. What knowledge do they bestow upon us of the suspensions?
Interesting to see. I saw 2 staff members on stage for 100 Thieves.
Right, yeah,
actually,
that's what I'm saying.
Executioner Ken, who was a challenger player who was support, I believe, spent a lot of time between Season 3 and Season 5, Season 6-ish, competing in those challenger events. And good to see he's still a part of the scene, now coaching with 100 Thieves.
Hopefully he has good execution.
As a coach?
Yeah. Aatrox. Figured we see him down there on the darkened band bench. And Akali, Varus, Nocturne, so we might see that Morgana coming into play in the first one. And I'm not sure.
We'll see. I think the Rakan is another thing you can look at.
Yeah.
Because as much as CLG did mess up some of the engages, you saw the power that it presented. And now that 100 Thieves is on the blue side, they don't have to ban out the Aatrox. Maybe that gets thrown onto the ban list. Both teams banning out the blue side Akali, and we get the brand.
Ooh.
A throwback to CLG Academy's more experimental days near the start of the split when everyone was trying different stuff in the bot lane. They did use some of those brand games.
Otto loves brand. He had a few plays on it. There's the Kindred again instantly for 100 Thieves Academy.
Yeah, I mean,
in just the same.
Levi looked like he was grooving on it, did not get the ideal start, got picked off in the first fight, but bounced back, got to a ton of stacks very quickly, and was getting big ultimates off in the team fights.
Kaisa is up there as well for Otto, but they say Ashe, just get the arrows in, especially if you're going to find some more initiation coming from the side of 100 Thieves Academy.
Not too much of a surprise to see, given what we were seeing out of the meta yesterday and what a lot of teams were talking about, Marksman becoming more powerful down the bot lane, and a lot of them bringing engage tools. So the Varus banned out, he seems to be the top tier. Ashe following in shortly behind that. And then from there, it starts to break open a little bit more. We saw Tristana have a good game, Kai'Sa's have good games. You can still pick Jhin as well, and here they're going with Kai'Sa, Tahm Kench.
It's an interesting composition.
Hey, that's what I'm looking for.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa, that is locked in. So it looks like these guys go away from those Gragas, the Trundle picks, the Grave picks. We're going to get a Lee Sin for Wiggly.
Yeah, this is what I was saying about how, you know, you can go for the Gragas, the more team-oriented counter pick. The Grave's not really too much of a counter pick, just like I said, wanting to contest the early game. And you saw Wiggly looking for Levi to fight him over Scuttle Crabs and things like that. Now this is a much more targeted counter pick where we saw what Levi did with Lee Sin to some other Kindreds. We'll see if Wiggly can do the same.
That was pretty crazy. It's just a quick kick to the chin and Kindred's out of the respite. Now Yasuo and Gangplank get banned out as they focus a bit of mid and top. I figured that might be where CLG Gaming leaves their last pick to make sure Fallen Bandit gets a good game.
A similar draft overall to the first game in terms of where people's priorities are falling.
Right.
Once again, we're matched in the bot lane, both picks taken down there, as well as these junglers locked in. And so you're left once again with people kind of not wanting to target ban themselves out and not wanting to ban the enemy out too much as a result. No Syndra this time because CLG might be looking for, oh, never mind, as I say that.
You're right, no Syndra this time.
It was going to be notable because it feels like that is a little bit of Tuesday's blind pick that he wants to play. And so it did receive some buffs recently. The base damage going up 20 on the rank 1 Q is pretty substantial in the first
huge for wave
2 to 3 levels. But instead it's going to be Fallen Bandit's Mundo.
So they leave it for Tuesday.
Yeah, like you said, 9 picks on the Mundo.
Yeah, now it is. Jeez.
Fallen Bandit was
feeling good.
A big abuser on that pick.
No, pick the Kennen. Even though it's really bad if you fall behind against Mundo.
Feels like 100 Thieves are once again opting into another team fight, team comp. They have the Kai'Sa, they have Kindred, Tahm Kench. They have a lot of good tools to fight front to back. So go secure that front line for yourself with the Cho'Gath pick.
All right, so we need a mid laner for Linsanity. Rise again, why not? Had good movement, and they actually have a lot of global movement on that side already. Orianna lock in. They want a rematch in the mid lane.
I see both teams thinking what I was kind of saying. You know, hey, that game was pretty close. Either one could have won that if they just execute a little bit better. So let's basically run back the same style comps with the big change being the hard counter pick into the Kindred. Whereas before, Graves and Kindred fulfill a similar role with Kindred having a little bit more utility instead of the burst that Graves has. Here, Lee Sin functions very differently.
It was a great game. You can fall into that trap of, oh, no, it's a good comp. We just played it wrong. Then you figure out next game, you're like, oh, no, actually, that was a bad comp, and we're playing it okay. So,
yeah, I mean, Levi...
No falling into that here.
Levi definitely had some good team fight ultimates where maybe if they had a Lee Sin to punt him out, they could have instantly killed him.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they're going for here. Being able to punish those on-reaction Kindred ults to the Orianna. Now Lee Sin has the follow-up.
I want to see. Because having that dragon kick, you kind of have to save it. There are moments where you might want to use it. You have a good knock-up, but you are kind of that priority kick for Kindred in her ultimate. See if Wiggly can keep that in mind. See what his mind's telling him and his body goes to do.
Yeah, see if he's on the same page. And it's an interesting pick because a lot of people talk about how many things disrupt Lee Sin's combos and how unfun it is to play against sometimes. If someone can get eaten by Tahm Kench to stop you from kicking him back in, or if you just get silenced out of your combo, if Cho'Gath is in position to interrupt with the silence, it'd be very difficult. But Wiggly seems up to the challenge because he saw the Tahm Kench as soon as he went for it.
All right, we're about to be on the rift for Game 2 here between 100 Thieves and Counter Logic Gaming Academy for your second quarterfinal match here in the summer playoffs for the North American Academy League. It's a mouthful, tongue twister.
A lot of Academy.
A lot of Academy, a lot of words, a lot of syllables. We'll get through it. Into Game 2, the players get through this best of 5 series as well. Could be many more games to go. You have to leave everything on the rift for each game. We're going to have a Mountain Drake first, which could cause a little spice on the bot side of the map.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Unlike last game, there is a lot of focus, it feels like, on CLG's ability to get ahead early game. The Lee Sin pick should be trying to force some action. Has better options than the Graves in terms of even just ganking lanes, let alone trying to kill the Kindred at 6 or anything like that. So last game, everything was almost identical across the board. This time there are some more mismatches as well, like Rikara having most likely the scaling advantage as the backline DPS.
Looking for no unsealed, so we just have the TPs hold for 3 members of 100 Thieves. And just 2 on the side of CLG, so we'll see how those come into play. Like I said before, a very mobile team here. You have Abyssal Voyage, Rikara has that TP, Linsanity with Realm Warp. They can get themselves across the map very fast. And we're off on this game as well. Good ball placement early, so rinse and repeat here for the mid lane. It seems like they'll play it out the same. Let's see if Wiggly gets a little aggressive again.
Yeah, last time Wiggly tried to find Kindred on the Scuttle Crab, was able to do that. We'll see if he goes for a similar play this time around.
Right, the Krug, he was already in that jungle, or I'm sorry, river.
Well, yeah, last time
they came up yet, but
no sweeper. Of course,
that's true.
Anything about that, so not quite sure he's going for the same game plan here. Speaking about some Lee Sin players, they like to play the mind game where you take the Lee Sin and people think, okay, watch out for the level 2 cheese ganks and level 3 and stuff like that, and they go for a full clear on their jungle camp and try and get to some of their jungle upgrades or boots faster, something like that, so they can move around and use their first clear and the aggression that people expect out of the Lee Sin to be a bit of a change-up pitch.
Yeah. I wonder how much the kind of like strategizing happens in that sense, right? If Wiggly were to pick in scrims Lee Sin over and over and invade, but play this game where he full clears, how much do players kind of have a lead up play in that sense if he knew he was going to play Lee Sin differently? Not that that's happening. It's just interesting to think of where a strategy starts, how many days before.
It really varies player to player. Some players like having some coaches like having a set kind of first couple minutes. Not like you have to stick to it hard and fast, but like you like having it in mind, where some players want to go in purely by field. They don't want to start tunneling on the predisposed plan that ends up not quite working out. So Wiggly,
it's a good point.
Going for the test on Levi, wanting to track behind him. He's going to get spotted out. Both people are going to see each other here. And with the priority that Brandini has in the top lane, Levi doesn't, or excuse me, Wiggly probably does not want to take this fight in the river. and is focusing more on getting up to the top side.
Ooh, they know they're pinched for somewhat of a fight here. He can get himself over to be on the safe side. Wiggly now gets himself actually very much in the damage position and gets taken out immediately. Interesting play. Fallen Bandit now flashes up as he heads down, and he's going to have Tuesday just on the other side for Command Protect. There's the stop. There's the stun. Fallen Bandit goes down, and Brandini flashes over, knowing they have Kindred towards the top side, but doesn't look like Levi is going to encroach down to the Triborough.
Yeah, Wiggly looking like too far ahead of the play there. Gets blown up before Fallen Bandit can really get in range, and that's a huge advantage for 100 Thieves early on. Levi being able to get that kill, or excuse me, the 2 assists, and the double kill for Brandini is going to be put the matchup in his favor a little bit, which is normally a pretty even farming matchup. Gets the catalyst right off the bat. And so Wiggly takes the Q, which I was pretty all right with, but the W into the ward hop to try and dodge out in the scream. Okay, nice mechanical play, flash over the knock-up from the Rupture. All that's great mechanical plays, but you're level 3 basically 2v1ing.
Yeah.
Fallen Bandit was really not in there to contribute any damage, so while he played it mechanically very impressively, it's just not a good fight to take and hard commit to, and gets punished as a result.
A lot of burst coming out of Levi early, and now he has even more damage to start things off. 2 assists on that Kindred, which is pretty much uncontested as he looks for these marks now in a 1v1 situation, and he can start denying resources. This is kind of big for Tuesday as well. Orianna uses quite a bit of mana to push that lane, especially against the Rise.
And I guess one good bit of hope for them is no new bounties, because he didn't get any in that fight, which means he's still going to wait for the Scuttle Crab skirmish before it remarks another target, which is good, I guess, if the Kindred's ahead, so that her initial invades don't result in anything. That blue buff didn't transition into a bounty as well, so I guess that's some upside you can look at, but that is really trying to be as much of an optimist as you can.
It's still 4 CS in the bot lane, only slight lead here. Otto and Phil still keeping themselves in an appropriate position to be an engage, be defense. If it comes to these lanes breaking early, low mana there for Tuesday. You can see how much that blue buff maybe would have gone towards Wiggly, but he is already hurting for resources in the mid lane, even with the dematerializer. And a quick push here from Otto and Phil.
And you see Levi just continuing to be aggressive onto Wiggly, hunting him in the jungle, forcing him off of his camps. They did have some vision to know that's where Wiggly was going, so he actually prioritized going for these Krugs instead of the Scuttle Crab mark that's going to spawn up on the top side there. Just very intelligent play by Levi, trying to get the most out of his advantage and not rushing for any one part of it. And this is going to be tough for Wiggly to recover from, because there's all these flashes down in the lanes and on Levi that you want to punish as the Lee Sin player, but it's just really hard if the Kindred's doing a good job tracking you like this and shoving you back to do anything.
Brandini always having that lane pushed 3 levels in his Vorpal spikes, doing nice damage to minions and just pushing forward the lane. And allows Levi into the jungle, allows Brandini to be in the jungle with him, so they've been able to cycle that once or twice now, and see you can, all that vision that they've placed deep in has Wiggly on Mark right now. We've been watching the bot lane take just a little bit of damage. Ricard teleports back with a BF sword. They can probably get a few fights in now, depending on what Otto returns with.
I want to see what Ricard goes. We saw a very interesting Kai'Sa build out of Airy yesterday, where he started with Stormrazor before hard pivoting to the AP build that people used to do with like the Ginsu's, Nashor's Tooth, and Zanya's to give him a little bit more survivability, which can work out, but I don't also mind just seeing the regular AD Kai'Sa still.
$60-60 in CS mid. 100 Thieves breaks the lanes just a little early. Turrets are still up on all sides, but they're trying to move the wards in, find where Wiggly is. Looks like an Abyssal Voyage might be just on the horizon here. You have a level 6 Ricaro, but Stunt just level 5 still for a few more minions.
Just dipping into the river, getting some vision control, putting some pressure on the enemy. As soon as you leave that and you know you have good vision control, you can actually just sit in the river. This is,
how annoying is that?
Yeah.
You're walking into the early part of your jungle, you already see him.
You just feel Levi poking and prodding for these advantages, hoping to catch somebody out. But that river hiding thing that Stunt is doing, I mean, this is something Lemonation used to do all the time, way back in Season 3 and Season 4. When,
and Azyras.
Yeah, what you would do is you would get pressure in the bot lane, push them in, and then go stand in the river, and they don't know if you're roaming. They can't play aggressive in the bot lane because they don't know if you're roaming. So
Yeah.
it really just controls both lanes without actually needing to commit to either.
So good. His Zyra Morgana, too. Those things that have just long enough range to hit you from the fog of war.
Yeah, you walk
Be
forward.
annoying.
Maybe I'll put a ward in the river, see if he's there. Oh, he's there.
Oh, the good old days. Coming up on 9 minutes here, and that Mountain Drake has not tempted anybody too much. A quick smite coming in from Levi. Does get his Raptors. He does lose the little ones.
Still needs to be careful as Levi to not get insta-gibbed while he is ahead. Orianna Lee Sin at 6 has plenty of damage to do that, so you can see Levi not willing to jump forward into the 2v1 at all. Nice trade.
Very nice shots. Has to use most of that to clean up under the turret, so Linsanity knew he had a chance for advantage, but he might find Wiggly in a second. Top lane getting pressure. If they see Levi, they might go on Linsanity. It looks like Linsanity pulls back in mid as Fallen Bandit keeps himself safe as well, so no action just yet. Other than those early kills on that top side of the map, Wiggly going a little too hard. Those 2 kills picked up by Brandini and assist for Levi.
So many wards on top of Wiggly all game long. Everyone just knows where he is this entire time, and now they know, hey, Tuesday's coming too. Let's be annoying, but let's not hard commit here because the mid laner's coming down as well.
Yeah.
It does come with the downside of having to lose their turret, most likely.
I like the switch. They said, yeah, we're getting Krugs, but we have enough people to take the turret down. Let's try to make the map in our favor. As 100 Thieves has kind of been on the forefront of making things happen. Nice disengage there, so Linsanity cannot get a good fight in. Level 6s all around the map means ultimates could come out in these fights. Very tense right now as the turrets are inches from going down, but also the fights that close from happening.
And once again, the team that kind of sends their pressure up to the top side is the team that falls behind the turret race, but this time 100 Thieves is actually able to answer it, whereas last time CLG just lost the bot lane turret and couldn't get the top one. Levi a little out of position. And they finally clear that ward up in the top side. Brandini, after getting the 2 kills, picked that up and put it in the top lane, which is in that brush that's near that red buff. And that was actually one of the things that allowed Levi to track Wiggly so well in the next couple of minutes. And it's one of those things that you might not notice, but was probably one of the biggest factors of the last 5 minutes after the 2-0.
It's kind of you get to this point where you're like, how are they doing this? And then you have to ask yourself that. You're like, there's probably vision we don't know about.
Hey,
simple answer.
You do it in solo queue, I'm getting ghosted when you're streaming. You do it in competitive play, they're good at warding.
I have 8 viewers. Why are they ghosting me? Here, Tuesday finally getting his blue buff. This will feel nice to be able to kind of set back Linsanity from being able to put him under his turret the whole time. And they start to put down a few of their own pink wards so they can also defend their jungle. So we'll watch Tuesday for a bit, see how he does in that CS area. As Tom Kench makes his way back down towards the bot lane. So quiet here in the mid game. Teams are definitely respecting the movement of each other, but also not getting the engages they want. So you get that hesitant play.
Trade those grass proc top laners. Oh, does actually.
Oh, hello.
Hey, this is important.
Double here. This is an easy dive with the Lamb's Respite if they have to go under the turret. If he even makes it that far. Fallen Bandit looking for the wall. Flash is already down, and he goes down with it. 28 seconds on the clock for him as Tuesday getting engaged down in the mid lane. One more lick could be it. It's going to get hit by the tongue. He gets devoured up, and Rikara could have his... Oh, he gets it off. Very nicely done, but now it's a 3v1 as he walks himself right into another fight. A great safeguard coming in from Wiggly at the last second, and now the fight could continue. Unbreakable goes up as Wiggly looks for a sonic wave. No resonating strike to follow as you see Brandini still trying to walk out of the jungle, but could engage on the back of these guys if he comes through the right spot. It looks like they see him coming through though.
Yeah, those early trades up in the top side, not only baiting us into a false sense of security, it felt like Fallen Bandit as well. Both of them trying to get their last possible grasp proc off. Probably actually what baited that and allowed Linsanity to get the nice Rise Realm Warp in. Scuttle Crab goes to Wiggly.
A little denial there.
But yeah, that bait got them the kill, but it did cost them a lot of flashes. Both Levi and Linsanity needed to go for it. As that was kind of breaking down, they found another opportunity in the mid lane, but Rikara was not actually able to get his ultimate off to get the final gap closer. The W missed. Stunt's going to get the stun. And then when Levi shows back up, doesn't think he's going to get insta-give like that. And Wiggly's extra damage that he threw in kind of
Those are the ones that feel good as well for CLG. Being able to save your teammate at the last moment, get that play in your favor, build a little confidence. It also starts to create that timer for 100 Thieves. The more that kind of play happens, the more likely you are to, oh, I want to go for it. I want to make that play. CLG keeps coming out on top. You just pull your hair out eventually watching people walk away with 100 HP. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, as much as the mental warfare is valuable,
it's true.
100 Thieves are still ahead in the game overall, 3 to 1 in kills. They also have the Mountain Drake in their favor now, so still feeling pretty good, I would hope, despite the frustrations of Tuesday living. And a nice sneak there.
Quick clean, gets a quick move and protect to start clearing it out. It's nice when you have that amount of mana on Ori. You just do very fast clears. They're starting to control the mid lane a little bit more. Looks like they want to start rotating Levi up to help Insanity a bit. He'll start to tend to that top side.
Looking at the Rift Herald, most likely. Some question mark pings going down. But looks like both teams want to fight over this. Brandini has teleport, but they're posturing around it. And CLG has started it.
This was CLG's kind of fault last time as they went into the fight.
Force the flash.
Looks like they'll be good on this one. Waiting for 100 Thieves to really make the initiation instead of CLG this time. They feel like it's okay to a great kickback from Wiggly. Nice and clean to take down Rikara. He's somebody that did not go down last game, so there's a scar on the scoreboard for 100 Thieves as CLG look great in a 3-for-0.
Nice pickoff by Wiggly there, finding the isolated marksman, and then 100 Thieves felt like they just wanted to try to get something back, and both Brandini flashing in and Stunt ulting in leaves up 2 more kills for CLG, who are able to clean that up. They're not able to get the turret or the Rift Herald on the back end of that, but you're pretty happy with a 3-for-0.
Well, he wondered if he could make shakes in the moves. Wiggly gets in, and you got to kick back there. Rikara wasn't even ready for it. So now they'll be a little bit more on par with thinking he's going to jump in. So he's got to think of something different next time. It only becomes harder when you start initiating that. We'll see it here again. This was CLG just attack.
Yep, used his E already to stealth down. The kick back to the arrow, well done by Wiggly. Ward hop back out, and then not actually even close to dead by the time Brandini ulted in. Just really tunneling on how much damage he thought he was going to take from the turret, and then Tom Kench coming in after that. It was kind of the comedy of errors where they walk in one by one.
The CLG with that upper hand towards mid, but still respecting that damage of 100 Thieves. Very rightly so, as they can turn around to fight just as fast. We'll see what purchases come out of this, if any more spikes are hit. Zerker Greaves there for auto, as well as his Blade of the Ruined King and Zeal. So big upgrades for them as they pile on the cash. 2-0-1 as really nothing was happening before for that bot lane.
And as much as that 2-for-0 on the top side initially felt great for 100 Thieves, it did end up with a 2-0 on Brandini, and it's not like on the Cho'Gath versus the Mundo, he's really going to take over the game. So CLG actually in a great spot with where their kills have ended up. We'll see what they can do from there, as still a very, very close game. Feels like they want this mid lane turret though. It's super low. We'll see if they get too greedy for it.
Kaisa, Stormrazor as well. I've seen different builds. The Stormrazor, very attacky. You want to get in and out, kind of guerrilla warfare, and hopefully be able to get those real big hits off over and over.
Yeah, it has a nice timing because your pickaxe, hold on, forces the cleanse out with the Ash Arrow. You have your Q living weapon upgrade with the Stormrazor and the pickaxe, which can transition into a lot of different things depending on what you want to do. We'll have to see what he goes for, but with how much flexibility there is with Kaisa, getting your Q upgrade just with these 2.5 items, whatever you want to call it, 1.5 items, is pretty big.
Little spread from CLG. They see Wiggly and Tuesday top. 100 Thieves may decide that they can take a little bit more pressure onto the mid lane here. Actually stopping the wave as soon as it gets up to the turret means they're going to want to put some damage down. Seeing Phil come back means they can't step too much closer. And things kind of stall out for the time being. Waves to be cleared on the side, and they have to do a little janitorial duty to Fallen Bandit's wave. I think 100 Thieves have lost a lot of their vision due to CLG's great clearing, so it's harder for them to move in now, and that's how CLG is starting to fight back.
Yeah, I mean, ever since that one Rift Herald fight, 100 Thieves has definitely kind of been more pinned into the base. They get a blue trinket down to know that this is happening again, but they're really not in a position to contest this at all. Levi down the bot side. No teleport for Brandini after the last fight, so you know this one's going to go over to CLG, getting their second straight Rift Herald of the series.
That objective control coming into play for a big chunk of change last game. They were able to send it right down mid for 2 turrets. And then 100 Thieves was kind of able to answer back. It was when CLG really committed to something overall on the map. 100 Thieves said, all right, we see that and we see the way around it if we win this fight. And it's up to CLG to prevent that from happening. Almost brings him into turret range, 100 HP on Tuesday, and a 1v1 with Linsanity on the top side, which little things like that start to change the map pressure already.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about, what you want to see out of a Rise in the mid game.
Yeah.
As soon as he gets the 1v1 against the Orianna. If you're able to get that flash out, next time your Realm Warp is available, you can kind of just jump on her face and start pummeling her with your low cooldown ultimates, and you have the Service Embrace for what Ori's like to do, which is as soon as you show up with the Realm Warp, she drops her ultimate on top of you. If you're ready for that and you drop your Seraph on top of it, you just negate her ultimate effectively, and then you get the chase down, hopefully.
It feels really bad for that damage to be negated, because if Shockwave hits, as an Ori player, you actually feel like you can dance 1 or 2 more kills in the fight because of how low everybody is. So seeing nothing happen there, this is bad news bears. You want out immediately.
And that feels like one of the important points of this game for 100 Thieves, now that they've lost a little bit of control in some of the other lanes. The fact that the Rise might still be able to make things happen for them.
Yeah.
Maybe they can start playing around that a little bit more. They have the Tahm Kench ultimate. It's something we've seen teams have varying levels of success on, the Tahm Kench ultimates into side lanes. Most recently in the LCS, JJ had a fantastic game, constantly ulting all over the map, even for red buff steals.
Yeah.
More subdued here for Stunt, not being able to collapse onto the Rise, because he doesn't feel to have enough pressure around the mid lane. Otto constantly pushing this in.
It's kind of an interesting way to think about it is, you know, in that game, it's always up, it's pressure, and it's being created as pressure. But some think of it as, if we use it, the pressure is relieved. They kind of have that mentality where we have to keep it up, or they'll know we kind of don't have it, and they'll be able to do whatever. It's such an interesting way to think about things.
Yeah, I mean,
you miss all the hooks you don't take, right?
Yeah, and so, you know, you hear a lot of Nocturne players talk about that when they're playing. They want to have the ultimate threat available that, like, if you try and go aggressive, I might come flying in and stop that from happening. But at the end of the day, if you're not using your ultimate either, you're not probably getting as much effectiveness as you want to. As much as people like the super min-max, slow, grindy style, what usually wins you the games is the big back-breaking plays, and you got to make those at some point.
You know what's funny is Doublelift was on his stream the other day, and somebody asked him about Ashe in the LCS, and he's like, there are so many Ashe players that don't even fire an arrow. Hold it all game. Why do you play Ashe? And I was like, it's so true. So many people wait for that perfect moment.
It's
fire the arrow.
It's like a pendulum. It started in season 1 and season 2, like ult on cooldown, shoot it up mid lane, doesn't matter.
Across map.
And then people would get killed in lane with no Ashe arrow because they don't have the tool available. And then people were like, maybe you should hold it for lane so you can actually use it to set ganks up and defend yourself from all ins.
We've done this.
And now it's too far the other way where people are just like, I have to hold it all the time.
We're the ones who've done this.
It's our fault.
It's our fault. Hopefully it can change again and we just get rampant fights across the map. There's 22 minutes on the clock. We just saw mid go down in favor of CLG Academy as things have kind of been scooting along. Nothing really fast happening for either team. They did get Mountain Drake on both sides now with that Infernal tempting the next fight as it's going to come up here in the next 3 to 4 minutes. A nice hawk shot across the map allows CLG to know what's going on towards that Rift Herald. I'm sorry, Baron side now.
And
As Rift Herald is used.
See 100 Thieves collapsing on the mid lane. Trying to find angle on Tuesday. Might be in trouble here.
I thought Brandini was Rift Herald for a second. I was like, what is it doing?
I mean, honestly, it doesn't look that different.
What is it doing? So that's going to be on the top side. Otto having a field day with Rift Herald, but he is going to back. It doesn't seem like they have the protection across the top side of the map to help him. And he'll walk back up to meet with Phil there as they head down the mid lane. Rift Herald might need to be stopped. We're going to get Rikara up towards the top side of the map for that.
Yeah, no surprise to see Otto not want to handhold that one into the inner turret. Still going to get the charge off, but doesn't want a Tahm Kench ult coming in and punishing for sticking with it. Instead, groups up mid, lets it get the charge themselves.
Well, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, almost took it down.
Mark on Raptors for Levi at this point. He is sitting, that is his 4th. So that would be his extra range on abilities and autos. Wiggly says, no, I will take this, thank you very much. Fallen Bandit looks like he'll start to tend towards the bottom side of the map. We got backs here at 24 minutes. Let's see what kind of items we finish. It looks like it's more recipes towards a BF sword, BF for auto, Banshee's Veil into Sword Boots for Tuesday there. So a bit more protection and power as he wants to stay in these fights. This is a really interesting game around the Baron buff as people start putting some more vision focus down on it. You have Kindred to stop people from being able to kill the Baron buff. You have the Cho'Gath to try and secure. Kaisa has insane damage on Baron, but Ashe with Blade of the Rune King and Orianna, as well as Mundo Cleavers, are all no joke as well. So with the Mountain Drakes factored in, I feel like we're going to have one of those very explosive, crazy plays around it, or it just gets melted down without the other person being aware. Yeah. We saw Levi and the team trying to do that to Rift Herald a few times last game with the hop over the wall from Kindred, but I don't know how many more they can squeeze in there without 100 Thieves knowledge.
And there's another Kindred hunt on the Gromp, but doesn't have any pressure really to go for it right now. Still struggling for that 4th stack. Last game at this point, he almost had 6 or whatever it was after they won some fights.
The 1-2 fight up in the top river. Gromp's going to be an even harder one for him to grab. As it gets pushed down, they say they could get a dive onto Fallen Bandit, but it's too much pressure in the bot lane for 25 minutes. All right, so oh, maybe not. Okay, they take everybody bot lane for that aggression. Fallen Bandit up to about 75 HP already from his ultimate as they see Wiggly there as well. That means there's no pressure really to be had on Baron. The teleport doesn't really get attacked by CLG here, and 100 Thieves should be able to grab the turret in bot lane.
And Linsanity, we talked about his kind of global champions that he likes to play with roaming potential. Really coming up big for 100 Thieves here, and kind of the catalyst for the majority of plays that we have seen in this game since that one fight that went wrong for them. He got almost a kill on the top side on the Ori, got the flash out, made the play on the mid lane as well. Didn't quite work out, and then here on the bot side, once again, not working out, but does get them the turret.
Oh, keep going. Brandini push. Brandini will head over a bit more. He wants to get some vision in there for himself, as it's a little too dark on the bot side of the map to actually be pushing up that far. Good rule of thumb, don't cross the river alone, or at least have vision when you do so. So Fallen Bandit, little janitorial duty to clean up that bot wave with 5 strong in mid. Tuesday does not get engaged down there as Wiggly is fast to safeguard.
Yeah, Brandini making his way over as Infernal Drake has just spawned, wants to be that big front line for his team, but they can't get chunked out too much.
Holy moly, that doesn't look good at all. The ball moving forward, arrows and Glacial Fissures come down as they try to chill out 100 Thieves. Linsanity leaves the Lamb's Respite. It's going to be Brandini and Levi going down immediately as CLG just suffocate 100 Thieves, and they continue to steal their lunch money. Ricara's going to be next as he dodges the cleaver, but they have the inside line. They'll be able to cut him off. But do they focus on the objectives? The slow is in. The volley from Otto keeps everyone in range, and Ricara's the only one to waltz out of this alive.
A 4-for-0 for CLG Academy after having a great start to that fight, chunking out Linsanity and putting them on full retreat mode. And even though the Levi ultimate, they didn't manage to pull anyone out from Lamb's Respite, it didn't matter because they had already done so much damage. The Fallen Bandit was in there just tanking everything up. They both TP, him and Otto go up to this Baron buff right away. And this is what I'm talking about. Plenty of damage to these neutral objectives.
Yeah, seriously, with 2 on it, now you're going to get a 3rd here for a little bit of defense even. What a fight by CLG Gaming. 1 on 100 Thieves there, and just quick hits. Linsanity can't start a fight at 50% HP. That doesn't work too well.
Yeah, the final Orianna QW combo really doing the chunking, and then they have a lot of engage tools. The Ashe Arrow starts things out, and even though the ultimate by Wiggly and the Orianna don't really find any other kills, it still puts pressure on 100 Thieves who are trying to retreat. They lose both their jungler and their top laner. And then there's no one really to stop this chase from continuing on. They have the speeds up from Orianna to keep going. Otto, a nice flash to get in there and start applying those slows. Has the Hurricane completed to apply to 2 people at once.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 people that die.
I love the CLG composition on the Kindred ult too. They're like, you do not have room to own any of this space. Linsanity just left the ult. Could have stayed in and kept his HP still, but man, CLG looked ferocious on that engage. Do not blame 100 Thieves for backing up.
Yeah, a lot of the times the Lamb Respite comes down and people are able to get a lot of damage off while they're staying alive.
Right,
but
right.
CLG actually layered a fair amount of CC on top of the Lamb's Respite, so even though they weren't dying, they also weren't putting out that much damage.
Foreshadowing even more death. You have to get out.
Yeah, I mean, Kindred is the aspect of death or something, right?
There you go. Luring it up.
Tied in somehow with the lore.
Over. Almost. Almost. That's cheeky. Wiggly just misses out. Baron now to mid lane with 2 minutes on that Baron clock for CLG Academy to start putting on the power. Nice dodge on the rupture by Wiggly as he skirts around Brandini and Levi's damage. And they start to clear out more wards, pushing themselves forward, strangling out 100 Thieves that much more. The chances to come back, or that window is closing so much with the power CLG has now. Looking at a 6,000 gold lead. Arrows on arrows to come out. One doesn't hit, but you can see how much 100 Thieves still has to respect that engage. 3-man shockwave with shields to follow means everything happening in defense for 100 Thieves as CLG pushes forward for another kill on the tankiest member of Brandini. Levi's now in the eyes as Stunt devours him up for safety. Linsanity standing tall saying, I got the front line until you can get back, but make sure that's fast.
And this looks like it's going to be the game for CLG Academy. Nice usage of their ultimates to just try and chunk out 100 Thieves and stop them from being able to defend their turret. And they were actually able to land the ultimate from Orianna well enough to allow them to have the chase down. And they're still going.
Much more sure of themselves, much more confident in the initiations and early game. CLG Gaming looking to have their own sub-30 minute if they can get to those Nexus turrets, but they want to pad it. They're having a great game, and with smiles on their faces, they will get that sub-30. 29-59, CLG take game 2.
Yeah, you can see they're happy about their bounce-back game. CLG Academy finally gets their revenge on Riccara winning a game against them, but they are not out of the woods yet. The series is tied up 1-1, and we're heading into a best-of-3 remaining.
Sad, the clock went to 3:03. It's okay.
Was that the animation?
2 fast games. That's what you want to see, though, from CLG. A 27-minute game from 100 Thieves, and CLG says, we're going to do the same thing and come firing right out of the gates, right back at you. A great game by them, and it doesn't even seem like they were really put off by that first game. Only, what was it? A kill for Levi and 2 kills for Brandini were able to come through in that early game, and then CLG closed that.
And that's what's kind of crazy to me is, like, it feels like whoever wins the early game is in trouble, because then they start getting ahead, they start trying to force some things, and it stops working out for them, and you kind of got to tip your cap to Wiggly staying focused on the Lee Sin pick despite how terribly that game started.
Absolutely, especially for game 1 for him, coming in, trying to get his everything for himself on Graves, just being knocked out of that. Levi feeling good on Kindred, he gets that again. So that means Wiggly has to play even stronger. And we see in the early part of the game, that didn't actually happen. But 100 Thieves start off with some picks. The CLG win the first fight, a replay of 15 minutes. This was a 3-for-0 around that mid lane.
Yeah, and like we said, this is after they had already gotten the 2-for-0 to start the game, but couldn't convert into much else. Riccara just getting picked off in the rotation, back to mid lane. Really good ward there to kind of set that off and let them know they can find that angle. And then the rest of the team just wants to try and save him, but they just keep coming in too little, too late. Gives them 3 more kills, and after that, we kind of hit that even game state where it didn't feel like there was too much for either team to do, and it was on Linsanity moving around the map, and he was still kind of forcing some action, but wasn't getting enough of a conversion on any of his plays.
Right, our next replay is 26 minutes in, and CLG Academy's 4-for-0 at Baron. And you could say this kind of clinched the lead for them.
And Linsanity just walking too far forward after having a good game, gets chunked out here and puts his team on the defensive part of this fight after having the initial position. And now you see all the ultimate starts coming in to try and save people. He has to run out of the ult, but it's not going to do much as the rest of his front line had already been melted down by the combo from the Orianna and the Lee Sin. And it's an easy chase down here without the Cho'Gath alive. And you just kind of look at that play and say, he had the vision control. You were first to the Drake. You should not be the ones getting chunked out, but they get punished for it really hard because this instantly leads to the Baron as they TP up to the top side of that. And once again, we're just going to see that gold graph just explodes. This time at the 25-minute mark, a little bit later, but very much the same story as the previous game.
A lot of damage still from the mid laners. We see the Mundo coming out big as we kind of get the back and forth here of Fallen Bandit getting his Mundo against
the Fallen Bandit Mundo, dude. It was a 7-9, I think, heading into this game from Summer Split. Now it's at 8-10. You probably shouldn't let him get that. Like, I don't know about some of those other bans you're throwing around. I get them, but it does feel like the team, not just Fallen Bandit himself, but all of CLG Academy plays so well with that Mundo pick.
It definitely puts more confident, I think, across the rift, and especially when you have Wiggly playing like that on a champion you haven't really seen in his pool coming through most of the season. It also mixes up what 100 Thieves wants to do, what they want to look at, take ban for the next game, because you see Wiggly on that, but he was playing Graves before, and you could take that away, play against the Kindred. Well, now he's playing your Lee Sin, Levi. What's the deal? The champion pools are shared even more.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird game where both games were very similar, where like one team made some good plays to get a lead and then made some hiccups in the mid game. The other team catches back up, and then they get a really decisive fight and get a Baron, and the game's over.
All right.
And it's hard to look at those two situations and be like, here's a common trend in the draft that I need to address.
So opinion, do we switch things up, or do we go back to basically the same? Top tanks, mid junglers are aggressive, mid CC mages control, and you get your bot lanes of like Ezreal Kai'Sas.
Feels a little bit like a staring contest to me. Like
It
both,
does, doesn't
both
it?
teams
It
are
does.
like, no, we could have played that better and won that game, and they're like, I'm not going to adapt. Are you going to adapt? I'm not going to adapt. And like, I want to see some adaptations come through, but on the outside, it's hard to pinpoint one or two things. Because I'm like, Linsanity's Rise looks really good, but so does the Orianna, and like, it's hard to say what you want to start pulling away from people now.
Well, we can only know if they keep putting it to the test. Chronologic Gaming strike back in Game 2, and we've got ourselves a series. Stick around to see who jumps out to a lead after Game 3. Coming up right after the break.